Do you have well-documented processes in your business? And when I say well-documented, do you have them in a place that anyone can access them? And have they been tested? Have they been tried with people outside of your company? Have they been updated recently? For a lot of you, the answer is going to be no. And when people do process documentation, they tend to do a few things really wrong. The first one is that they tend to refer to assets in a relative sense. So what I mean by that is you might see a typical process that says it's the weekly payroll process, for example. And the first step is open the payroll document for this month. Second step is log in. And anybody who sees that who doesn't know what you're talking about is going to say, whoa, hold on, where is the payroll document? How do I access it? So a proper process would say, access the payroll document, and here's a link to it, or it's in this folder, and the username and password that you need to access it is in your password manager under this category, right? So thinking in absolute terms of how to access it. Consequently, they tend to refer to people in a relative sense, or in an absolute sense, sorry. So you might see a process that ends with, once you finish this document, give it to Sally in accounting. And while it might sound like a subtle shift, it should really say something more like give it to the account manager in accounting, because the way human psychology works, that one day that Sally's not available, no one will ever use that process again. The other thing that we tend to do wrong is that most people are not really great teachers. And we're also not really great at expressing a lot of the shortcuts that are naturally in our brain, so we just end up doing them. So a typical process that somebody might do on the computer, they might do a screencast of it, send it to their virtual assistant and say, go ahead and do the process. And the problem with that are, one, they're going to miss steps because you're going to do shortcuts. It's also not efficient because there's a lot of ums and ahs when you're making a video screencast. And if you ever want to update that process, you have to film the video all over again. So a better way to do this is to take the video, the screencast, and we call this our POS system, Process Optimization System. Take the screencast of you doing it with all of your inefficiencies, give it to somebody who's never seen it before, and to ask them to make the process for you. So you write the checklist based on what you saw. When they're done, you don't want them to give it back to you. You want them to give it to a third person who's never seen it before and ask them to run through the process. It will never work. But that's great, because now it's a Rube Goldberg machine, and you can go to the exact issue where the bowling ball didn't hit the bowling pin and you can make an adjustment. And if you can fix a process so that it works, not only at a secondary level, but at a tertiary level, you have a bulletproof, perfectly optimized process that is now ripe for automation and outsourcing. But more importantly, you're reducing training costs. You can scale so much faster because those processes have been tested and are now living, updatable, perfected processes.